So Cuban coffee is basically espresso. And what makes it Cuban is how we make it, not really the type of coffee or anything in particular. So in order to make Cuban coffee, you need an espresso pot, such as these that I have here. I have 4 different sizes. These are stovetop coffee pots, right? And we also have an electric one that sits on a platform that's connected to the power, and it works with electricity. You also need a container to mix the sugar and the coffee, and that's the key to Cuban coffee, and that's what makes it particularly Cuban coffee. So I have several containers that I use depending on the amount of coffee, the number of people that are gonna drink. So for my little coffee pot, I typically use the smaller one. This one and this one, I interchangeably use them for some of the bigger ones, either one of these. This one's the one that makes the most, so I use a larger container here. And so I'll explain to you what makes Cuban coffee Cuban. I'll show you the steps and how to make it, and why, again, we call it Cuban coffee and not just espresso, which is what really is. So let's make some coffee. So the first thing is the coffee and the sugar. What brand of coffee you want to use, that's up to you, but it has to be espresso roast. And so typically espresso is different from drip coffee because of the grind. And if you look at the differences in the grind, you can see that drip coffee, right? It's more granulated than espresso. Espresso is ground to almost a fine powder, whereas drip coffee is more granulated. So that's the key in espresso and what makes it very concentrated and very strong. So the coffee pot you choose is up to you. That depends on how much you want to make, how often you make coffee and all that. We Cubans drink coffee a lot, and I mean a lot. Some people call it an exaggeration, and I don't blame them. We drink coffee a lot. I drink Cuban coffee sometimes 3 to 4 times a day. And so, not everybody might drink this much. But let's go and let's talk about the steps. So first of all, today I'm gonna choose my electric one just because it's easier to use. I don't have to go on the stove and turn the stove on. So I'm gonna put these aside and we're gonna use the electric one. And I will show you how to make Cuban coffee. So let me plug that in. And so we open it and we have the top part here, the filter where the coffee goes, and this is the boiler. This is sort of like a pressure cooker, and you can see there's a valve on the side, right? So let's fill it up with water. And so then the coffee goes in the filter side here, right? And so we want to fill it up all the way, and most of us like the coffee very strong, so we tend to pack it a little bit. I use my little scoop here to pack my coffee really well, right? And there we go, right? So then we place this in the water. We screw it on and we turn it on and wait. Okay, so as you see, the coffee is now coming out. The first little bit that comes out. And what you want to do is you want to pour just enough here to give it a creamy consistency. So you can pour a little bit and check what's going on. So this is sort of what you want at the beginning. So notice the color is very dark, right? But that's gonna change. So once you have the coffee, the amount of coffee you want in here, put your coffee maker back, make sure that it finishes brewing. And now just mix well. And once the sugar and the coffee are well mixed, then we're gonna start more vigorously mixing this and integrating some air in. And notice that the color of the mixture is gonna change. So notice that it's already changing. And as I go and continue to do this for maybe a minute or so, maybe a little more, depending on how creamy you want this to end up. Now, this is the consistency you want, okay? You don't want it too watery. You don't want it, too thick that it doesn't flow. It has to be like this. It takes practice. This is not something you're gonna learn on the first time you make Cuban coffee, but it takes a little bit of practice to get the right amount, but it's not a problem. If you put too much coffee in the sugar, then you can add more sugar to make it thicker. And then, before you mix the coffee with the sugar mixture, then you take out a little bit of sugar, so it's not that sweet. Now, if you don't put enough coffee in the sugar, you can always add a little bit of coffee after it finished brewing, just to make it a little bit more fluid. It's not a big deal. It's not going to change it much, but eventually, when you do this a few times, you'll get the consistency that you want on the first try. I've been doing this since I was a kid. My parents, my aunts and uncles used to always have me make coffee since I was a teenager. And so you learn with the years of practice. Okay, so this is good enough. So now our coffee sugar mixture is ready. And this is what makes Cuban coffee Cuban. That I know of, no one else in Latin America that drinks espresso, and there's very few countries that drink espresso. Most people in Latin America drink either instant coffee or a lighter type of coffees, similar to drip coffee. Cubans are the only ones that drink coffee this strong and that do this a sugar mixture cream. Now, we pour the coffee in the sugar, in the cream mixture here, the sugar and coffee mixture, and then we pour all the coffee, all of it, right? And we stir this just to mix it and dissolve the sugar really well. Remember, there's no milk here, there's nothing like that. It's only sugar and the first bit of coffee that comes out through the little tube in the coffee maker here. So we want to mix it really well. Make sure that the sugar is dissolved. And that's it. So you can see how creamy it is at the top. You can see the cream just here at the top. It looks like the sort of cream that a professional espresso maker makes with the pressure that coffee is brewed in those machines, which obviously is not what happens here. If I didn't do this, the coffee would just be black, no difference, because there's not enough pressure generated by this machine to make the foam. So we make the little cream, the foamy surface here with the sugar and the coffee. So some people would scoop up some of the cream and just pour it in the cup, but you don't have to. I mean, if you pour the coffee directly from the little pot here, it flows completely into the cup. And this is Cuban coffee. This is what makes Cuban coffee Cuban. This is the traditional coffee we drink every day. And this is how we drink it. This is really an important part of coffee. I have a lot of friends that will not drink coffee if it's not like this. So we drink this several times a day. Yep. It is very strong. It's very concentrated. And we like it somewhat sweet. We don't like the coffee bitter. So enjoy your coffee. If you like this video, click subscribe. If you have any questions, if you need any more help in making this, let me know, and I'll let me know in the comments, and I'll answer as soon as possible. If you're curious about what brands of espresso coffee I use, just again, in the comments, ask me, and I'll be more than glad to respond to you. There's a few brands that I use, regular store brands. So if you're interested about knowing which ones, just go ahead and let me know. So next time, maybe I'll make a cortadito and café con leche. For those of you that don't know how to make that, very simple. Again, if you're here in Miami, you know this stuff, but I'm asking and telling the people that do not live in Miami, that are not Cuban, that typically would not make coffee this way. If you want to know how to make it next time around, when I do a coffee video, I'll make a cortadito so that you know how cortaditos are made and what's in it, what kind of milk do we use, what kind of milk do we prefer, and so on. So thank you for watching the video. Click subscribe. And again, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to enjoy my coffee.